When you got to know him, he was a sweetheart and funny guy. What causes some friendships, even the deepest ones, to become strained or distant? When Western film icon Jack Elam passed away, many fans wondered why his longtime co-star, Clint Walker, didn't attend his funeral. Despite the two actors sharing the screen in classic westerns and appearing close on camera, Walker's absence raised questions. Was there a rift between them, or were there other reasons behind his decision? In this video, we will explore the true reason behind Clint Walker's decision not to attend Jack Elam's funeral. Rising from a rough beginning. You may not know his name, but Jack Elam's face is one you've likely seen and won't forget. A man whose quirky off-center left eye seemed to harbor its own secrets. With a gaze that defied predictability, Elam became one of the most recognized character actors in Hollywood. But before he captured audiences' attention with his unique appearance and on-screen charm, his life was full of challenges, tough times, and surprising events. Jack Elam was born in 1920 in the rugged mining town of Miami, Arizona, a place where life was hard and luxuries were rare. The son of Millard Elam and Alice Amelia, Jack was no stranger to adversity. At just 4 years old, tragedy marked his childhood with the death of his mother. Alice's battle with a baffling illness, once described as general paralysis, had lingered for 3 long, painful years. Losing his mother at such a tender age was a blow that reshaped Jack's world. He and his sister were sent to live with various relatives, shifting between homes, their young hearts learning the sting of instability and the ache of longing for a lost parent. Amid this uncertainty, a small light appeared when Jack's father married Flossie Vanny, a schoolteacher with roots in Kansas. Flossie brought a sense of structure and nurturing that the Elam children desperately needed. By 1930, the newly formed family found a place to settle in Globe, Arizona. Though life was still filled with challenges, there was a new undercurrent of hope. His father found consistent work, and Jack pitched in by taking on labor-intensive jobs, including picking cotton and working on local farms. But as the dust of the Great Depression clouded the nation, fate had more trials in store. At the age of 11, during what should have been an ordinary Boy Scout meeting, a scuffle broke out. Amid the chaos, a pencil was thrust into young Jack's left eye. The injury was severe, and despite efforts to salvage his sight, the damage was permanent. The incident left Jack with a blinded eye that, as the years passed, began to drift and take on the distinctive misaligned look that would later define him. To mask the sting of that accident, Jack learned to joke about it, often recounting the tale of the ill-fated scuffle that altered his path. Still, in those early days, the prospect of a future as an actor was a distant thought. It wasn't until the late 1940s that life steered Jack toward Hollywood. By then, the eye that set him apart had begun to drift more noticeably, becoming both a curse and an asset. In 1951, while working on the set of Rawhide, Jack had a conversation with the influential Darryl Zanuck of 20th Century Fox about correcting the wayward eye. Zanuck, with the keen insight that made him a mogul, discouraged it. He knew that what set Jack apart was precisely what would make him memorable. And so, the eye stayed as it was. A challenge in social moments, but a signature on screen. Before the days of movie sets and rehearsed lines, Jack's life had been decidedly ordinary. He graduated high school and moved to California, where he married and enrolled in a business program to further his prospects. He worked tirelessly, even lying about his age to land a job as an accountant at Standard Oil. His sharp mind for numbers soon led him to other positions, including a surprising stint as the manager of Los Angeles' prestigious Bel Air Hotel, a role almost unimaginable for a man of his background. Jack's steady career path was interrupted by World War II, where he served in the U.S. Navy. Returning to California after the war, he pursued a career as an independent auditor. His clients included big names like Samuel Goldwyn Productions and Hopalong Cassidy Productions. Yet the endless hours spent poring over financial ledgers exacted a price. The strain on his good eye was more than just a minor concern. It was a threat to his vision, and as his doctor warned, a future with total blindness loomed if he didn't change his ways. This wake-up call forced Jack to confront a choice that would define the rest of his life. Continue on the safe path of financial work, risking his eyesight and health, or gamble on a future that held no promises but offered a glimmer of adventure. In a move both bold and desperate, Jack chose to leave behind the predictable for the unknown. He walked away from auditing and stepped into the world of acting. Jack Elam's unexpected Hollywood break. Jack Elam never imagined a future on the silver screen. He was a man defined by ledgers and financial reports, devoted to the steady life of an accountant. But fate had different plans, as relentless strain on his good eye forced him to face a difficult choice: continue his work and risk blindness, or abandon it for something new and unknown. Standing at this life-altering crossroads, Jack saw acting as an unexpected escape. What he didn't yet know was how his sharp business acumen would later become an invaluable tool in navigating the competitive labyrinth of Hollywood. Jack's entry into acting wasn't typical. It hinged on a chance encounter. A friend, a novice film director, needed financial backing for 3 westerns. Jack, the shrewd negotiator, secured the funds, but claimed roles in all 3 films as his price. The first, The Sundowners, marked his big-screen debut. His rugged looks, accentuated by his drifting left eye, caught not only the attention of audiences, but also Hollywood insiders. It was while shooting Rawhide that Elam's fortunes shifted dramatically. Tyrone Power, one of the era's brightest stars, recognized Jack's untapped talent and recommended him to 20th Century Fox. That endorsement led to a studio contract, a golden ticket for the former accountant from Arizona. Elam's performance in The Sundowners cemented his reputation. One unforgettable scene where he played a villain who shot a baby seared itself into the minds of moviegoers. Critics were awed by his ability to embody menace with a single glance. Doug Martin famously remarked, "His eyes conveyed villainy as surely as Durante's nose suggested humor, capturing Jack's unique power to define a character with nothing but a look." During Hollywood's golden age, Jack became the actor sought after for roles steeped in grit and danger. From the Lone Ranger to Gunsmoke, he embodied evil with unmatched flair, but also showcased his versatility in the Twilight Zone by playing against type. Shows like Death Valley Days and Lawman saw him adding dimension to tales of the Old West. By the late 1950s, Jack Elam was more than a familiar face. He was an icon, the embodiment of villainy. Yet, as time passed, his roles began to evolve, signaling a new chapter for this improbable star. The man behind the wicked sneer. Jack Elam's Hollywood story began with a fierce glare and chilling sneer, perfect for villainous roles in westerns and thrillers. His wandering left eye and rugged face seemed made for menacing characters. But behind that harsh exterior was an actor capable of warmth and humor. Over time, audiences would discover the unexpected charm hidden within, transforming Elam from the go-to villain to a beloved comedic presence. The turning point came with Support, Your Local Sheriff. In this Western comedy, Jack shed his typical role as the menacing outlaw and showcased his impeccable comedic timing and expressive face, proving that he could do more than frighten. He could entertain and amuse. The film's success revealed that Elam was not just a skilled villain, but a natural comic, capable of blending cluelessness and charm to delight audiences. This success led to the sequel, Support Your Local Gunfighter, which became a personal favorite for Jack and solidified his newfound status as a comedic actor. Director Burt Kennedy played a key role in harnessing Elam's potential, casting him in various projects that highlighted his humor, such as Rio Lobo, The Texas Wheelers, and The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams. He even broke into mainstream comedy with hits like The Cannonball Run and its sequel, winning over a new generation of fans with his deadpan delivery and playful antics. A deeply moving chapter in Jack's later years unfolded during the filming of the Aurora encounter. He bonded with Mickey Hayes, an 11-year-old boy with progeria, forming a friendship that transcended the screen. Touched by Mickey's resilience, Elam participated in the documentary I Am Not a Freak, which chronicled the boy's life and challenges. Reflecting on this friendship, Jack would say, "I've met a lot of people, but I've never met anybody that got to me like Mickey." Jack Elam's career spanned over 5 decades, boasting more than 119 film credits and 260 television appearances. When Clint Walker met Jack Elam, Clint Walker and Jack Elam's paths first crossed on the set of Cheyenne, an iconic Western television series that redefined TV drama. At the time, Clint Walker was already a towering presence both on and off the screen, embodying the role of Cheyenne Body, a drifter in the post-Civil War American West who balanced strength and compassion in his quest for justice. The show itself was revolutionary, being the first hour-long Western series with continuing characters and marking Warner Brothers' Brow's bold step into original TV production outside its established film portfolio. When Elam joined the show, he brought with him a rugged charisma that would make him unforgettable. His debut appearance came in the 6th season, episode 14, titled A Man Called Reagan. This role showcased Elam's talent and hinted at greater things to come. However, it was the 7th season opener, the Durango Brothers, that truly put his mark on the series. The Durango Brothers began with Cheyenne, riding into a seemingly quiet town, shrouded in an uneasy calm. Whispers of fear rippled through the townspeople as rumors spread that a gang of outlaws, the Durango Brothers, were headed their way. The outlaws were notorious for their brutality and their relentless search for someone in town who held a dangerous secret that could spell their downfall. Walker's Cheyenne, ever the reluctant hero, was initially unsure about getting involved. But as the tension mounted and the town's desperation became palpable, he found himself unable to turn away. Joining forces with the townspeople, Cheyenne prepared for the showdown, uncovering clues about the brothers' motives and building alliances that would prove crucial in the battle to come. Elam, playing one of the feared Durango brothers, brought a unique energy to the episode. His portrayal combined menace with a touch of wry humor, making the villainous character both compelling and memorable. The episode reached its climax in a heart-stopping confrontation that kept viewers at the edge of their seats. With gunfire, dust clouds swirling, and the cries of the townspeople ringing out, Cheyenne's resolve was put to the ultimate test. Director Leslie H. Martinson masterfully wove together action and character development, balancing high-stakes drama with the personal stories that gave the episode its emotional core. The Western setting, with its rugged landscapes and detailed period costumes, pulled audiences straight into the heart of the Wild West, creating an experience that was as authentic as it was thrilling. How Jack Elam stole the show in the Dakotas. The golden age of television was a time when Westerns ruled the airwaves, captivating audiences with tales of rugged heroes and untamed landscapes. Yet even amidst this heyday, not every show was destined for a long run. One such series was The Dakotas, a promising Western produced by ABC and Warner Brothers that met an untimely end before its first season could fully unfold. The story of The Dakotas began with a spark of hope. Its pilot episode, A Man Called Reagan, aired as a backdoor pilot on Cheyenne, a popular Western that had already broken ground as the first hour-long drama to achieve multiple successful seasons. This clever move by Warner Brothers allowed The Dakotas to tap into Cheyenne's loyal fan base, setting the stage for what could have been a lasting series. Warner Brothers, riding high on the success of TV Westerns, saw an opportunity to further expand its reach with original shows, and The Dakotas seemed set to be another hit. While Clint Walker was the reliable lead of Cheyenne, the show sometimes shifted focus to other characters in standalone episodes. One such story, A Man Called Reagan, introduced audiences to a band of lawmen charged with keeping the Dakota Territory in check. The episode featured Jack Elam as Deputy J.D. Smith, alongside Chad Everett, Larry Ward, and Michael Green. It painted a vivid picture of the Wild West, foreshadowing the gritty realism later embraced by shows like Deadwood. Although The Dakotas was not a direct sequel to Cheyenne, it took its first breath from that series' success, standing out with a darker, more complex tone. Unlike the often heroic portrayals of Western life seen on Cheyenne, The Dakotas depicted a tougher, less forgiving world where lawmen grappled with murky ethics and brutal choices. The ensemble cast brought these stories to life. Larry Ward led as the stoic Marshal Reagan. Chad Everett played Del Stark, the eager deputy with everything to prove. And Michael Green appeared as Sheriff Vance Porter, a coward under the sway of powerful figures like Ben Stark. At the heart of the series was Jack Elam's portrayal of J.D. Smith, a gunslinger who shifted allegiances like the wind. Elam's performance was magnetic, bringing a complex charm to the show that few could replicate. His unpredictable nature and roguish wit kept viewers guessing, adding depth to the harsh realities the Dakotas aimed to portray. With its sharp storytelling and morally intricate characters, The Dakotas stood out for its mature themes and realism. Each episode dug deep into the brutality and ambiguity of frontier justice, exploring how far individuals would go to uphold or break the law. The trio of Reagan, Stark, and Smith, especially with Elam's standout role, captivated audiences by presenting more than just black and white tales. They wove stories full of gray areas, leaving viewers to question where justice truly lay. Yet, despite its compelling start, The Dakotas couldn't escape an early end. Its bold narrative and willingness to explore the shadows of the West set it apart, but also set it up for challenges that ultimately cut its journey short. The cancellation of The Dakotas. One of the most unforgettable episodes of The Dakotas was Requiem at Dancer's Hill, a powerful story that captured the tension between justice and vengeance. Marshal Reagan and his deputies chased down a posse that had decided to take justice into their own hands, illustrating the blurred line between law enforcers and vigilantes. This episode showcased everything that made the series compelling: gritty storytelling, moral complexity, and rich character dynamics. But it was another episode, Sanctuary at Crystal Springs, that would seal the show's fate. Sanctuary at Crystal Springs, written by Cy Chermak, aired on May 6, 1963, and tested the boundaries of what television audiences were accustomed to seeing. This episode delved into the heavy cost of violence and the torment of living with its aftermath. The story revolved around a standoff inside a church during a funeral service. Deputies Stark and Smith, caught in a perilous situation, were forced to kill two outlaws within the sacred space. What followed was not the typical heroic aftermath, but a raw and unsettling reflection on guilt and doubt, particularly for Deputy Stark, who struggled with the moral and spiritual consequences of their actions. The episode's intense and controversial scene of a shootout in a church was a turning point. The imagery of violence in a place meant for peace and sanctity struck a nerve with viewers and critics alike. The public's reaction was swift and harsh. Many felt the episode had crossed a line, depicting a level of graphic violence that was too much for early 1960s television. As viewership declined and complaints grew, the show found itself in the crosshairs. Before the final episodes could air, The Dakotas was canceled abruptly. Television historian Everett Aker pointed to the Sanctuary at Crystal Springs episode as the reason behind the show's sudden end. He highlighted how the unsettling nature of the church shooting and the moral complexity it introduced led to widespread discomfort, and ultimately cost the show its audience. The decision to set the climactic violence within a place of worship was seen as too provocative, challenging viewers' comfort zones and raising questions about how far TV westerns should go in portraying the harsh truths of frontier life. Despite its short life, The Dakotas was a series that didn't shy away from tough questions. It painted the Old West not just as a backdrop for adventure, but as a place where violence had consequences and where moral certainty was rare. The show was brave enough to tell stories that left audiences thinking long after the credits rolled. The Sanctuary at Crystal Springs episode pushed this theme to its limits, underscoring how violence, even when justified, can leave deep scars on those who wield it. Though its cancellation was a disappointment, The Dakotas left a mark on the Western genre, remembered for its willingness to tackle challenging themes and for standout performances, especially by Jack Elam. His portrayal of the cunning and complex J.D. Smith hinted at the series' potential had it been allowed to continue, making its premature end all the more touching. Clint Walker and Jack Elam's Western chemistry. Clint Walker, with his towering build and deep, resonant voice, became an icon of the American Western in the late 1950s and early 1960s, thanks to his role in Cheyenne. His calm demeanor and commanding presence made him a perfect fit for the rugged, noble hero audiences adored. When his television stardom transitioned to the big screen, Walker brought the same authenticity and charisma to a range of films. One of these was Night of the Grizzly, a movie that, while not the most acclaimed of his career, showcased his defining traits and the magnetic pull he had as an actor. In Night of the Grizzly, Walker played Jim Cole, a former lawman hoping to build a new life after inheriting a worn-out ranch in California. With his wife Angela, their 2 children, and his nephew Sam by his side, Jim's determination seemed boundless. But peace on the frontier is never guaranteed. Enter Jed Curry, a local power broker with hidden motives, and Old Satan, a monstrous grizzly bear, whose presence alone could chill even the bravest hearts. As Jim Cole struggled to protect his livestock and safeguard his family's future, he found himself in a battle that pushed him to the edge, balancing family-friendly storytelling with moments of raw survival. Despite shifting tones, Night of the Grizzly delivers its share of excitement, anchored by Walker's commanding performance. His chemistry with Martha Heyer as Angela added warmth to the story, while scenes with Old Satan brought suspense and thrills. Of course, not every element was seamless. The real-life bear used for filming never quite matched the fearsome legend of Old Satan, leading to moments that felt more staged than savage. Yet these inconsistencies were a familiar challenge for films of that era, especially those involving animal antagonists. One particularly delightful surprise was Jack Elam's portrayal of Hank, a character far removed from the villainous roles that defined his career. Elam's Hank was quirky and kind, sharing light-hearted, heartwarming scenes with young Gypsy Cole. His sharp comedic timing offered a playful counterpoint to the film's more serious moments, proving Elam's range and injecting levity into the plot. The supporting cast, filled with familiar faces, added nostalgia and a dash of humor that kept the story moving. The film, shot in Technoscope against the breathtaking backdrop of California's Big Bear Valley and San Bernardino National Forest, aspired to more cinematic heights. Yet, the direction of Joseph Pevney, better known for his classic Star Trek episodes, filled the movie with a touch of TV-style simplicity. Though Night of the Grizzly may not have matched Pevney's standout work in sci-fi, it remained a pleasant and satisfying Western tale. Clint Walker was the perfect choice to lead this rugged adventure. Having honed his craft as the stoic hero in Cheyenne, he carried a weight of experience that brought depth to Jim Cole. But it was his off-screen relationship with Jack Elam that added an extra layer of authenticity. The 2 men, though opposites on screen, Walker the steady hero, Elam the unpredictable comic, formed a bond that transcended the set. They were tough, no-nonsense figures who shared a mutual respect. Rooted in years of working side by side in the unforgiving world of Hollywood westerns. Walker would later speak fondly of his friend, recounting their time together with an unmistakable warmth. When asked about actors who stood out to him, Walker never hesitated to mention Elam. He spoke of his unique talent, quick wit, and the joy he brought to every scene. Clint Walker's bet on Elam's luck. Jack Elam may be best remembered for his unforgettable villainous smirks and sharp comedic timing, but at the heart of his career was a deep connection to the Western genre. Elam wasn't just playing cowboys, he was one through and through. And, as any true cowboy would tell you, a Western tale isn't complete without a game of cards. Beyond the film set, Elam's passion for poker wasn't just a pastime. It was a fixture of his life. Among all card games, Liar's Poker was his favorite. So strong was his love for it that he managed to slip a unique clause into his Warner Brothers contract: guaranteed time for poker. It was a testament to how intertwined gambling was with his persona, blending the line between his real and real-life cowboy spirit. Elam's friends and co-stars have countless stories about his card-playing escapades. They remember evenings spent around dimly lit tables, trying their luck against him. With a mischievous twinkle in his eye and a face that could shift from playful innocence to sharp cunning in a heartbeat, Elam was no ordinary poker player. He was legendary, so much so that his co-stars would bring only a modest sum to the table. Already resigned to the likely outcome, they even placed side bets on the most trivial things, whether it would rain or how many steps a fly might take before taking off, just to spice things up. Clint Walker, one of Elam's frequent collaborators, often chuckled when recalling his friend's uncanny winning streak. No matter the stakes or simplicity of the bet, Elam always seemed to come out victorious. Walker once recounted a time when Elam bet on a fly's unpredictable flight path, and sure enough, won with a grin that left the room both groaning and laughing. It wasn't just luck. It was as if Elam had the world's smallest tells all figured out. Jack's final moments, and why Clint Walker didn't attend the funeral. In 1994, Jack Elam's health began to decline. A slow and unwelcome change for a man whose life had been defined by grit, humor, and an unmistakable screen presence. Yet even as age and illness took their toll, Elam's legacy received a fitting tribute. That year, he was inducted into the Hall of Great Western Performers in Oklahoma City, an honor that cemented his place as one of the Western genre's most cherished icons. Elam's personal life, much like his storied career, was marked by both joy and heartache. He married twice, first to John Lisa Hodgerard, who tragically passed away from colon cancer in 1961. Later that same year, fate brought Margaret M. Jennison into his life, and they shared over 4 decades together. When Jack Elam passed away in 2003, at the age of 82 due to congestive heart failure, it marked the end of an era for his fans and loved ones. As the news of Elam's passing spread, many expected his longtime friend and co-star, Clint Walker, to be among those bidding him farewell at his funeral. The bond between the two had been forged over years of shared screen time and behind-the-scenes laughter. But Walker's absence spoke volumes. His own battle-scarred heart held him back. It was a heart that had faced death once before. In a harrowing accident in 1971 on Mammoth Mountain, when a ski pole impaled him, stopping his heart cold. Although he survived against the odds, the ordeal left lasting effects that required constant care. The journey to Elam's funeral, with its mix of grief, travel, and emotional weight, posed a risk that Walker couldn't afford. The stress could have pushed his heart beyond its fragile limits. Choosing to stay away from his friend's final farewell was not an easy decision, but it was a necessary one. In the years that followed, Walker opened up about that difficult choice. He spoke of how deeply it hurt him not to be there, how Jack had been more than a co-worker. He had been a true friend. Memories of Elam's playful spirit often brought a smile to his face. One story Walker loved to recount was of the time Jack, ever the prankster, tricked a young stand-in by pretending to sneeze and flicking water at her. It was these moments of impish humor that defined Elam. Not just to the audiences who loved him, but to the friends who adored him. Even though Clint Walker couldn't be there in person to say goodbye, he found other ways to honor Elam. The memories they created, filled with laughter and shared mischief, became a kind of tribute, one that Walker carried with him long after the cameras had stopped rolling. In the end, it was those fond recollections, the jokes, the stories, the glances shared over a game of cards that kept Elam alive in Walker's heart. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment, and turn on post notifications to stay updated with our latest content.